got people to clean this up. Angel, Nick, do your thing. All right, guys, listen up. Don't make it unstable. This is going to represent them being created by God. Tonight's message is called Hold It All Together. Say it, hold it all together. I want you to imagine for a moment that this tower of Jenga blocks represents you. Say, that's me. Psalm 139, 13 through 14 says this. Take a look at the screens. For you, God, created me in my innermost parts. You wove me in my mother's womb. I will give thanks to you because I am awesomely, say awesomely, and wonderfully, say wonderfully, made. Wonderful are your works, God. My soul knows it very well. Give them a hand. This represents you. When God created you, listen up. When God created you, he knitted you together exactly the way that he wanted you to be. And inside you, he put gifts and talents and abilities and passion and personality and temperament. And he put it all together very intentionally. He's a genius God who made you. And then you were born. And you started to grow up. And maybe when you were a little kid, somebody told you you weren't made awesome or perfect or wonderful. Did that happen to any of you? Maybe somebody convinced you that you needed to be different. And so you changed a little bit. And you gave away a little piece of yourself. And then you got into middle school. And man, middle school can be difficult. Somebody say amen. And everybody's so focused on being cool and popular and in, and maybe you were tempted to, because you wanted to fit in too, to change who you were, and you lost a little piece of yourself. And then you got to high school, and you saw someone you liked. Everybody say, hey there. And they saw you back, and they said, hey there. And you felt something, and you wanted to be someone for them. And because they wanted you to be different, maybe you changed who you were. Or maybe you gave away part of yourself to that person because what you felt, you thought was love, and you lost a little piece of yourself. And this process continues. It doesn't just happen when you're young. It happens for the rest of your life. People will try to convince you that God didn't make you wonderful and that there are parts of you that need to change because of their opinion, because of what's in, because of what's popular. You get on social media and I don't like my hair, and I don't like that I laugh really loud. And I don't like, that's part of the plan. That was supposed to happen a lot earlier, Max and Leah. What happens is you give away so much of yourself that you start to lose who you are. And you get shaky, and your identity gets shaky. And eventually, just like this tower, you fall apart. And you get to this place where you don't know who you are because your whole life you've been trying to be somebody else. I won't ask you if you can relate to this, but I'll share with you that I absolutely do. Because when I was young, I was the life of the party. Anytime my dad, I don't know if you've ever seen one of these, my dad would get out the camcorder. You ever? Big old thing, you put it on your shoulder because it's so big. And it's got like a telescopic eyepiece he would have to put his eye in. And he was making family movies with the big old camcorder. And when he got that camcorder out, I came alive. It's showtime. And I would grab the closest pencil and I would be talking into my microphone. And I would be having a blast and being silly. And I was a total goofball. I loved to perform, and I loved to laugh, and I loved to make people laugh. But then I got into middle school, and I got made fun of so much that I just shut down that part of me. Because I just wanted people to, I didn't want to be rejected. I wanted them to accept me. And so I thought, in order to be accepted, I have to be different. And I took out pieces of me that God put in there. He wanted me to have a sense of humor and to laugh and to make people laugh. And I shut that down. And for a long time, I continued this process of pulling out pieces of me in order to be the person other people wanted me to be. And I got into this identity crisis where I remember I was in my car and I looked up to the sky and I said, God, who am I? Because I don't know anymore. And at that point, what I did is what I'm going to encourage all of you to do. To give God the pieces. I don't know where you are right now in this process. I don't know if you feel totally whole. Like, I know who I am. I know who God made me to be. He put me together perfectly, and I love my life. That's awesome. I don't know if maybe you've pulled out a few pieces of you, and you're a little bit shaky, or you've lost part of you that you loved about yourself because somebody else convinced you to do so. Or I don't know if you feel like this right now, and you feel like you're a total mess, and you don't know who you are because you've given up so much of yourself. But regardless of where you are, I ask you to give God the pieces and give him all of them. Say all of them. Because God is the only person that you can say 100% you could give your entire self to, and it will be safe. Maybe in the past you've given your heart to somebody and it wasn't safe. You gave your friendship to someone and it wasn't safe. They mistreated you. But you could give your whole self to God, and he will not mistreat you. In fact, he will hold you all together. He will build you back up. He will put the pieces back where they're supposed to be. And I can tell you that day I gave God all my pieces, and he put my life together, and he knitted me back together. And I can tell you right now, I love my life. Do I have insecurities? Yes. It's fine. We all do. But those don't rule me anymore because I know who God made me to be. I know what he's asked me to do, and I do it because I have confidence in him and his ability to use me. And I don't have to have confidence in myself and my own abilities. I'm so thankful I gave God all the pieces. What we usually do is before we're whole, we go try to find a person to fill us, right? You've heard the phrase, you complete me. Raise your hand if you heard that. And you're looking for the person that can complete you, right? And that is the wrong way to go about relationships, because no strong relationship is ever built from a place of weakness. If you're in that place where you're missing pieces and you enter a relationship, you're going to hope that they fill you in. Would they fill in all those holes in your heart? But only God can do that. There's a God-shaped hole in every single person. And if God doesn't fill it, you're going to try to find someone that will. And you're going to try to pull that out of a human that could never fill that spot. But here's what happens. When you let God make you whole again, by giving him your whole self, from that place of strength, now you go out and you find the person that God has for you. And they don't complete you because you're already whole. Somebody say amen. You don't need a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a husband or a wife to complete you because God already made you whole. They now complement you. Your strengths and their strengths work together. And that's how God meant for relationships to work. Amen? Matthew 7:24 says, "Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and acts on them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock." Say the rock. "And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and slammed against that house, and it did not fall because it had been founded on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and doesn't act on them will be like a foolish man." Say foolish. "Who built his house on sand, and the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and slammed against that house, and it fell, and its collapse was great." We build ourselves on the foundation of what people want us to be, we're going to be shaky, we're going to fall, and we're not going to know who we are. But if we ask God to build us up, to give him all the pieces, he will hold us together. And when the storms of life come, you will be solid, and they will not knock you over. Amen? I'm going to invite up two people to share their story with you that, man, I love this couple. It's Chris and Kim Geige. Bring them on up here. And Nick and Angel, if you guys would come clear the blocks off the stage for them. Chris and Kim, we've known each other for a few years, huh?
Yeah, a few.
Yeah, just take them all the way off. You don't have to clean the stage, Kim.
Oh, all right.
She's just trying to help. Kim, you remember the first time we hung out?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. A little bit different season than you're in right now.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You can use that mic.
This,
Yeah,
right?
you talking to that. When I met Kim, she was in a totally different season of life, but I could see within her the potential for greatness, that God was going to use her to do something amazing. And I can look back now and say, he's absolutely done that already. And then this guy came along, and Justin was like, hold on, you're dating? I'm going to need to vet this guy. And so, of course, they had to do that where?
Peru.
Oh, it was in Peru.
Well, she was in Peru. I'm
She
sorry.
was, no,
Yeah.
when you and him,
Oh, okay.
it was on the golf course,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, of course, on the golf course. And so Justin and Chris got to me, and Justin gave you the blessing. You can go ahead and
He did.
date our dear Kim here.
He had Kim's back.
Let's protect
Yes,
him.
for sure. And now you guys have been married for how long?
Math time. This is a test, first test of the marriage.
For
Yeah,
you.
you have to answer this correctly, Chris.
I do?
Yeah.
I thought the question was for her.
Oh, no, that's always for you.
Okay.
For the rest of your life.
7 months.
7 months. Give it up for them. All right, so I'm just going to ask you two to go ahead and roll.
Okay.
And then, I don't know if I told you this, but we were going to offer a couple Q&A, a little bit of questions for you guys from the students afterwards.
Oh, even better.
So, yeah.
Okay.
All right, give it up for Chris and Kim.
What's up, guys?
Can we sit down? I'm casual.
She's been
Can they
working.
sit? Cameraman, can you get them from there? Yes.
Yes, we're good? Okay. Perfect. All right, how's everybody doing? Good? Well, I'll let Chris start. So what we'll do is, Mindy mentioned I was in a very different season than I am now. I'll tell that story, and then it'll kind of fold into our story. But I'll let Chris begin with his story before I came into his life.
So I only had a few girlfriends growing up. I did not date. When Mindy said she was looking for better half in high school, that was not me. Sports were my better half. So I dated a couple of girls, but when I did, I can just remember my family grew up in the church, and the girls that I dated didn't, so I always felt like I was burdening them by asking them to go to church on Sunday, or just, saying I was going to church. It was almost like kind of an embarrassment, or I felt embarrassed a little bit, but looking back, that was God's opportunity for me to learn how to lead in a relationship, learn how to be the man of the household. And but at the time, it looked so different. I was more, scared and nervous, and it was something to look back on and grow from for sure. So I enjoyed the way that it went and the way that I became. We actually went to school when we were teens.
We were little tykes. We played Little
Yeah.
League Baseball together. Everybody say, "Aww."
She was one of two girls that played baseball with us growing up, so I respected her a little bit different than most. Yeah. So I would say the biggest thing for me is just learning from the previous relationships and understanding that, if you're gonna lead, then you have to use the doors that God opens for you when He does, for sure.
And sometimes dating for guys looks a lot different than it does for girls. Yeah, amen.
We're simple. We're more simple.
We had a good conversation one night, and I don't know. I think I said something that just kind of clicked with both of us. But when I would date a guy, I dated to marry. I was very serious, and they were always, these long relationships that I took very seriously, and my whole heart was involved in it. And Chris more so was like, well, it's just kind of nice to have someone around, you know? And I'm like, oh, that's one way to look at it, isn't it? um, but when I first met Mindy, I remember I had just gone through a terrible breakup, and what that looked like was fantastic. It was this fun, awesome relationship. He was very wealthy. He had lots of fun things. We traveled a lot, and it was this fast-paced life, and I loved it. It was an adrenaline rush, and it just felt like that was it. I made it. And we were building a house together, and that was fun. That was something new for me. And I just found myself infatuated with this man, and I just thought he was everything. And man, I worshiped the ground he walked on. And I rearranged. I got this job so I could go to all of his events and support his career. And I just kind of shaped my life around his life. And it was never enough, really, at the end of the day. Looking back, I see why, and I'm so thankful for the way things panned out. But man, when things ended between the two of us, I couldn't see the next day. I was just in this funk of, I lost my everything, somebody who was so important to me, and somebody that I loved, but that wasn't reciprocated in the proper way. And I don't know, it wrecked my world. So when I first met Mindy, you can ask her, I was a complete wreck. I came in, I was tears are flowing. I told her, I don't have these healthy thoughts, I just need somebody to talk to. I need someone to go to. And she was that person for me. And she gave me a few books to read. But she ultimately told me, you need to pray, and you need to get around people that can help you and that can pray for you, and they can be that positive insight in your life. And so I started to do that. I started to get real uncomfortable, because when we broke up, I lost friends. I lost all the people that I made my friends, And so I started stepping out into small groups. I started reaching out to people online, and my posting online became different. It became more inspirational versus like, woe is me, I'm so heartbroken. It was more of like getting into the word and using his words. And then I found other people that reached out to me online, and they were going through the same thing. And so it was kind of nice. Like, I gained some online buddies that were like my powerhouse, and then I gained friends within the church. And then not too long, Chris moved back from Florida. He was going to school in Florida, graduated, and he wanted to be closer to home, so he moved back. And I'm gonna throw you under the bus here. Chris, he had feelings for me quite early on, and my walls were
simple,
up.
Remember?
Yeah, my walls were up, and I told him, I was real open with him. I told him, I went through a terrible breakup, and I had a lot of baggage, is the way I described it. And I said, I need you to wait, basically. And if you don't, that's okay, but this is just what I need to do for me. And he was okay with that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I knew something had happened, but from a distance, it just looked like she had built her relationship. The foundation of her relationship was him, and when he got removed, she felt like like everything had just fallen. And I just think it's really important to put God as your foundation so that when things crumble, he can pick you up rather than you having to search for what your new foundation is going to be. For me, I had previous relationships that were great, but I've never had anybody that pushes me as hard as she does. You know, and nobody necessarily loves to be pushed, but she definitely pushes me. I'm not the biggest reader, and you know, she asked me if I've read the Bible or if I've been, you know, furthering my relationship with God, because in turn, if that fails, then we fail. So
I think what I really decided was, you know what, I was doing something wrong in my previous relationships. Something was missing, and I grew up in the church, and then I fell out of it, you know, and I wanted to do my own thing, and those fleshly desires where it was like, I'll take care of that later. I'm going to do what I want to do now, and this feels good, so I'm going to do this, and this completes me right now in this stage of my life. But at every time I came up empty-handed and heartbroken and lost and feeling terrible about myself and what I had done. I was ashamed. And so I decided, you know what? If I'm going to be uncomfortable and step out, I'm going to ask them to do some uncomfortable things and, you know, practice self-control and, you know, stepping out in your relationship with God and, I don't know, just doing things that are hard to do, you know, thinking about somebody else before yourself.
And at our age, you know, in college, for her to say, you know, I want to be friends first, and it was for 6 months or so, 6 to 8 months where we were just friends hanging out, that was new for me. So it did take a lot for me to just, you know, have feelings for somebody, but also have to respect when they need to work on themselves, so that when they bring themselves into the relationship, they're full. So I understood it, and it was tough, but looking back, that's what built our relationship, was her finding God, and then me also recommitting myself and, you know, just changing habits and seeking the Lord more. It helped us build a good foundation for our marriage, so
Yeah.
I was thankful.
Yeah, so we went from friends, and Chris had to wait until I said that I
still have to wait until she says.
he he had to wait until I said that I was ready, or what I considered myself being ready to date, and take that next step in our relationship. And even then, you know, we took the time to get to know each other on a friendship level for a very, very long time. And that was new to both of us, so it was kind of this fun, exciting thing to do. And just, now we just have like a good, solid friendship. So even if we are mad at each other, and it happens. We can fight with the best of them. I mean, yeah,
You pray together, you stay together.
We'll go 12 to 24 rounds. It's fine. But at the end of the day, there's nobody else really that I would want to have my back, because I know he's always going to have my back, even if he's mad at me. So just, God gives you the ability to forgive people, understand people, get to know them on a deeper level. He makes you confident, and he'll give you the words to say when you're just like, I don't know what to do. He'll even hold your tongue for you if he needs to. Just having that connection with him and having him feed you so you can feed the person that's the most important to you is a very, very good feeling. And
there's this saying that I made as a gift for her when she was going through all that, and we were friends. I gave her a sign that said, we love others best when we love God first. And we still have it on our wall today, but to me at the time, I felt like
that's when we were friends.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean, she brought me closer to the Lord, which ultimately built the foundation for our relationship. At your guys' age, there's a lot of fleshly desires, a lot of parties, a lot of friends pulling you this way, stuff going that way. But if you can build a solid foundation, no matter what you do, God will give you his favor. So.
Yep.
All right.